races of brown people were about people butt and getting poo in their and in their wiener hole. And they got stained. Confirmed.
Four freaking streams about me. Nobody cares. I'm a publicist. I'm not a celebrity.
So heavily that where the joke came from was my frustration. She kept demanding an apology. I'm like, and she was saying, if you don't do this and this, I'm gonna ruin your career. And I said, I've already apologized.
She stated that you had said that if you don't apologise within 30 days, I'm going to ruin your career. Is that correct?
Yeah, but like, what career does she have?
A lot of these hate groups, they call me Teflon because they're like, well, everything we do or nothing sticks. Nothing, because it's like people keep trying to find a reason to make me a devil. This is before this, by the way. There are groups of people saying I'm worse than Onision. And put some logic and thought into it. Does that make sense? Like, if you're going to come at me with an argument, come at me with a strong argument. I support wanting change. I support helping communities and people of POC and everyone. I support that, but in a way that's going to be constructive and not destructive.
Brown is a language. Like, that is, you know, that's anything that I don't know how to speak. I speak brown.
Another day, another YouTube racist slur. I should be surprised, but here we go again.
More money, I want your money, I want more money, I want your money. More money, I want your money, I want more money, I want your money. Once upon a time, not long ago, I was a hoe. And I'm admitting it, I won't take it back. Cause I did this shit, I was a hoe. And I'm admitting it, I won't take it back. Cause I did this shit, I was a hoe. More money, I want your money, I want more money, I want your money. More money, I want your money, I want more money.
Because we're from Britain, okay? We don't spill tea, we drink it.
I said I wasn't gonna talk about race again. I said I wasn't gonna talk about race. What? I said I wasn't gonna talk about race again. Bitch! Yes, it's your girl Patty Paige back at it again with yet another video for you.
Oh my God!
So if you've been following my YouTube channel for the past couple of days, you guys will know that I have been having conversations with Joy Sparkles, the person that she was allegedly racist to, as well as talking racism, intent, impact and context. Now, I told you guys that I definitely would not be making another race video anytime soon, but for some bizarre reason, these race debates keep knocking at my door.
Look at my African American over here. Look at him. Are you the greatest? You know what I'm talking about?
So a few days ago, Joy Sparkles BS found herself in a tiny little bit of controversy. She alluded to the fact that black people were poo babies from infected penises. Yes, that's right, infected penises.
It's gonna be a poo baby, and that's you know what? Hashtag
Oh my God.
to be. Races of brown people were about people butt and getting poo in their and in their wiener hole. And they got stained. Confirmed.
Oh my God.
Mike, we need to submit this to Insta. We need to make a whole history lesson about how brown people came to be and have the internet hate us.
Of course, this started a massive internet storm, of which she has made not one, but 2 apology videos.
I'm not gonna apologize for what I said. I'm not gonna apologize for humor, and I'm not gonna apologize especially when it's humor to showcase how silly people are being. I won't. I'll apologize if you were hurt and you didn't understand the context because you don't know me. That clear as day.
So I thought the best thing to do would be to sit down and have a conversation with Joy Sparkles BS and ask her personal opinion and maybe talk about some of the misconceptions to do with race and culture. But there are still going to be some people who have absolutely no idea who Joy Sparkles BS is. So I'm going to be breaking down who she is for you in 60 seconds. Joy Sparkles BS is a YouTuber and social justice warrior / activist from America. She's 33 years old and suffers with an illness called fibromyalgia. Joy Sparkles on her channel frequently talks about her illness, fibromyalgia, as well as talking about socio-political issues and topics. Joy Sparkles BS is most notoriously known for her debates and her Onision content. Joy Sparkles has made an outstanding outstanding 100 plus videos on Onision and his antics. This led to one of the biggest debates on YouNow, Onision versus Joy Sparkles BS. Joy Sparkles BS has an exceptional following and started YouTube approximately a couple of months before I did, with over 60,000 subscribers since she made her YouTube channel in December 2016. Joy Sparkles has over 388 videos since starting her YouTube channel back in December 2016, 100 of which are Onision content. Joy Sparkles is a controversial character and has got herself into so many different controversies. Too many to mention, but one that's worth noting: the poo baby scandal. Also, just a tiny little disclaimer, you guys will be hearing quite a lot of voiceovers in this. Reason for that being is I am 100% sure I will forget pieces of information while standing right here in front of this camera. All tea, all shade. So the poo baby scandal started by Joy being on a live stream and making some very insensitive comments. Roll the clip.
Races of brown people were about people but and getting poo in their and in their wiener hole. And they got stained. Confirmed.
Excuse me, bitch.
Excuse me, bitch.
Yes, although her comments were insensitive towards people of colour and the jokes were definitely unnecessary, I felt the only way to get into her psyche, to find out what her motives were when making these comments, was to have a conversation with the woman herself.
Because like when I grew up, saying colored or even people of color was considered racist, but now they want people say POC. So in my mind, I don't say that because where I grew up, that's a very racist terminology. So like my mind is a pretzel right now with what do I say to not offend anybody? But long story short, it also got to the point where if you said, and I even hate saying it, black people, that became offensive. And I heard it so much in a derogatory fashion, me and my friends started saying brown people, because the other truth is I've never seen a straight black person. I see beautiful shades of brown, which is what I've said before. I love all brown. I love all colors, and I'm irritated with all people. But, so that's just to give you some context. The reason I'm saying this is the first accusations about me being racist were because I've said the phrase brown people, period. Because I've said that, people are like, well, that sounds racist. I'm like, how the is that racist?
The reason that people say POC and person of colour is because a lot of things to do with race is more to do with identity rather than the actual colour of a person's skin, if you get what I mean. I completely understand that your depiction is, you see it, it's brown, and that's perfectly fine. I personally don't find it offensive. However, I do see how it negates to the people of colour who might be white passing black people, if you get what I mean. Because that's then their identity. They identify as a black person, but they might not physically look that way. Do you get what I mean?
I do, and I think, I mean, no, that does make sense, but it's like, honestly, I don't know that because of the way, like, because of where I came from and what I've heard, every time, I've even tried to say, like, I cringe when I say people of color, because I feel like it's a slap in the face to people, because of how I grew up, and so in my mind, I would rather say a word knowing my intention is good than saying something that in my mind I inherently look at as racist. Does that make sense? Then I don't feel good about myself and what I'm saying and how I'm coming across. I don't know how to, I don't know if that, where I'm coming from makes sense or if I'm explaining it well.
In terms of like the PC community, I think that there are a lot of things that have to take time for people to get used to and to understand. Person of colour is the most up-to-date way of referencing a person of any kind of ethnic origin. However, in terms of, like, if you think further back, before, saying the word she-male was acceptable to call somebody who was trans, whereas
oh my god, that's horrible. I'm sorry, that's horrible.
Because a lot of it is associated with now, etc. Now it's no longer acceptable to call somebody who is trans a she-male. It's now more acceptable to say a transgendered person or a person who is trans. So things move, and sometimes I know it's uncomfortable sometimes, but sometimes I feel like we've got to move with the times. And I understand that coloured people was a bad reference at one point, but a person of colour is just basically any and every ethnic origin, inclusive of identity as well.
Interesting. Okay, because let me just say it like this. It would be like if all of a sudden the N-word was the appropriate thing to call people. Like in my mind and my heart, that's how it feels. If that makes sense. And it's just like, well, then I'll just make up my own terminology, and people I hope can just understand my heart and my intention. And that's kind of where I've come from with it all. But no, what you're saying, it makes sense. You know, I will be open-minded to that. It'll take me some time to let that sink in.
Throughout my interview with Joy Sparkles, we discussed microaggressions and change. And towards the end of the stream, it looks as if Joy Sparkles was ready to possibly make some changes.
So I just was being very playful. People took that and said, you are a racist. I mean, and I was just laughing. I'm like, really? So when I said what I said, the joke, the punchline wasn't, poo babies and people who are, you know, of any kind of color or, you know, or brown or whatever, that they come from poo. The joke was to say, this is so ridiculous that people think that. I'm going to say a crazy, outlandish, ridiculous statement to shock people, to show them how silly they're being. Does that make sense? Like, go so far in sarcasm to show you you're being ridiculous.
I did watch your I Apologize But video, and in it you said that the joke was mainly tailored towards the context and the intent of what you were trying to say and what you were trying to put across.
Now, it all has to do, guys, with intent and context. My intent was to showcase how silly it was that people were saying that about me.
However,
Exactly.
one of the things that I wanted you maybe to possibly understand is also the impact of what you say. So, like, although I completely understand that that joke was, you know, oh, how ridiculous is this? They're saying this about me. Well, if I say this, does this make me any worse? I get it.
Exactly.
100% I get what you were trying to do. However, when it comes to things such as microaggressions and stuff like that, things that can chip away at a whole group of people over time, gradually, you have an influence. And I know that's probably hard for you to understand sometimes, but you have an influence, you have an impact. Everything that you say, people look at and draw inspiration from, people look at and say, she's brilliant, you know. So when you've got that kind of an influence on a group of people, maybe if you were having I call it kitchen table talk, when you're having a kitchen table talk kind of conversation, the people in the room might be able to understand you and get you, but there is a whole group of people of colour who aren't going to get your conversation because they don't see it the way that you see it. So to avoid that conflict, sometimes it's best just not to say those things. And if you do, my thing is, I don't believe that you're a racist at all. I just think you said something that was silly. But if you're going to apologise, then what I need from you, from me, for my personal benefit, is for you to like stand by that apology, you know?
Sure.
And the way that the I Apologise But video came across to me was that you apologised and I was like, oh, brilliant. But then it was like, but what I said wasn't racist, blah, blah, blah. And I was kind of like, no, what you said was racist, but I don't believe that you are a racist person. It was a racist joke. Do you get what I mean?
I understand where you're coming from. Although I disagree, and it doesn't mean I'm putting you down. I'm not saying you're wrong. Yeah. I'm saying that I come at it from a different place because there was no intention behind that. There was nothing in that. So I can't sit here and say, I wish I didn't say what I said. I could say, I wish it could have been taken differently. Or maybe my delivery could have been different. But I also think if I were to sit and apologize for every tiny thing I say that could hurt somebody's feelings, then it's almost like what's the point of speaking? Because Paige, the problem is people have been doing this with me since day one on all types of things. And so I'm in this weird place of like, I need to be myself. I need to express what I'm going to say. And I don't want to set a precedent where people think they can steamroll and bully me, that every time they're offended, let's go ahead and spread this as far as wide as we can to villainize her.
However, a pretty little black girl from the Midwest slid into my DMs and told me about a conversation that she'd had with Joy Sparkles BS on the 8th of July this month. So I decided to talk about this as well with PR representative / consultant Sharika Soul.
I'm Sharika Soul. I'm I don't know, like a strategic marketing consultant, publicist. I mainly work in like the Hollywood and
Also, just so we're aware, Sharika Soul is also responsible for the 37-second clip of Joy Sparkles in that meme video that went horrendously viral. Also, she is the writer who is responsible for this video going viral and even making it onto Hip Hop Live. This is a woman with a lot of connections in the entertainment industry. I believe it all took place on the 8th of June, is that correct?
Yeah, for me, I mean, that's when her and I first had, I would say, an actual, communication between the two of us, us actually speaking to each other. Because I used to be a fan of Joy's when she first, started on YouTube. I was like, oh my God, I love that she was natural. I like that she was like really, I'm all about that social justice warrior. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I'm totally down with women that are just, they feel it, they want it. Like I'm totally for that. So I was really like, ooh, it's a breath of fresh air. You know what I mean? Like she's in there,
The problem is I have these groups of people that, I mean, hate me so bad for just months. They've been waiting to watch me say anything they could spin. So they took this I don't know if you saw the stream, the 6 or 7 minutes with Mike and Actor, took it completely out of context, highly edited a 37-second clip to make me look like I really believe that. And then somebody who is, in my opinion, somebody I have found very racist, took that, tried to spread it to as many, I'll use your terminology, POC groups, and they literally, I started getting attacked left and right of, so you really think this? How is this funny? I'm like, it's not funny. I don't think that. The joke is the sarcasm. The joke is not, does that make sense? The joke, the punchline is the ridiculousness of the sarcasm of how silly it is, not actually what I said. Because I agree, it's not that funny of a statement.
So the issue that came in between that conversation, and this is when I formed my opinion of her as a racist, it just got to where she'd asked me about my brand. She was like, your clients are not going to like this. And so I just kind of laughed because, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. And so I just said, just like maybe look up Black Lives Matter, my name, look up Brock Turner, my name. I'm the girl that ran the petition and we got 1.3 million signatures on it to impeach Judge Persky. And, I did that. Oh, that was a whole nother story too. But, I just was trying to introduce myself because she was like, well, what are you doing? You're going to ruin your clients and people aren't going to work with you. And I'm like, girl, I've been doing this for a long time, and all she saw was, Black Lives Matter and my name. She ignored all the other stuff, which it was literally just like a sentence. I just said, Google my name, Black Lives Matter, Brock Turner, my name, whatever. And so then she responded, that's when you see the tweets, ha ha ha, you think you're hot shit, well, why don't you go, burn down a city and call it justice.
Okay, so she said that to you, then what happened?
Well, then it kind of, that's how the whole conversation kind of went from there, because what people didn't see, and they could have seen, but there was this other guy that was commenting. And I get it, your fans, your people are going to jump in, because mine do, and that's when she said the next thing, which was the second one that I showed you, and it was another one about the Black Lives Matter. That's where the second comment comes from.
Yeah.
So that was my issue. So then this guy comes under those comments and says, oh, we need our weave, dash Black Lives Matter. And I'm just like, who is this guy? Like, who says that? And then it's like this stream, all of a sudden I'm getting these gifs of women taking off their wigs. And there was black and white women in there, so I don't want to say like it was all blacks and it was totally, but either way, like you just said Black Lives Matter, and let's not even try to debate this whole like white women wear weaves and all that stuff. Like,
it's inherently one of those black things, so
you know what I mean? So I was just kind of like, oh my God, like who is this guy? So when I got to the point where I was like, okay, I got really upset, is because then I'm going to my notification. Joy is liking every single one of this guy's comments.
So here we have a clip of Sharika showing us her interaction with Joy Sparkles online. From what there seems to be here, Joy has left that derogatory message towards her, and somebody else commented, we need our weave, BLM, that stands for Black Lives Matter. And then after that, there was a bunch of memes sent by a lot of Joy Sparkles' fans who had posted memes of people taking off their wigs and weaves, etc. Basically, no matter what way you look at it, it's kind of derogatory towards the in particular, and this person in particular was a black woman. But then obviously Sharika then goes into detail to have a look at who was actually liking these pictures. And lo and behold, our very own Joy Sparkles was out here liking these pictures. So take away from that what you will, but you know, y'all know my opinion, bitch.
She's not saying anything anymore, but she is liking what he is saying to me. And honestly, it was just like a drop in my heart, to be honest, because I don't have a problem arguing with people we don't get along, you know, or we have a difference. But I guess I put her, you know, up here, like with me, to be honest. I'm like, wait a minute, you know, it just was so. What?
And this is the other thing. The person who spread this message basically said she demanded an apology. I was like, I already gave the apologies. And she was like, you know, she kept demanding an apology. I'm like, and she was saying, if you don't do this and this, I'm going to ruin your career. And I said, I've already apologized.
She stated that you had said that if you don't apologize within 30 days, I'm going to ruin your career. Is that correct?
Yeah, but like, what career does she have? Like, to me, it's a really shitty, but honestly, like, yeah, it's a really shitty thing to say because I don't think she has a career. Like, it's great. She's doing great, but she's like the local celeb, you know? Like, she's like the local celeb level, which is great, but it only takes you like getting drunk at the bar and people, you know, getting a DUI and nobody likes you anymore. So to me, it's very like backhanded, kind of like, yeah, it's totally stuck up. I probably shouldn't have said that, but I was livid.
This is somebody who's had issues with me, who wanted to get my channel taken down long before any of this for my own Esion content, comes back and then demands, you need to apologize for being a racist within X amount of time or I'm going to ruin your career. Apologize because you're a racist. This same person went on to tell other people, I'll say POC because that's better in my mind, other POCs, that, because I had POCs that stepped up to defend me. This person said, if you don't agree with me, you're not black enough. I'm revoking your right to be black. This is the same person that spread this message. And so I'm in this weird place of, I don't want to give in to this. And I'm not saying this is you. This is not you. But I don't want to give in to social justice warrior bullshit like that thinks they can bully everybody in BS ways. But I also want to be sensitive if people didn't understand what I said.
I think sometimes, especially with people of colour and oppression, etc., that some people can become militant with it. It's like you've got a bleed that's bleeding over and over and it's getting everywhere. You just want to cover the bleed immediately. Because if you don't, you're going to bleed out. It's that kind of mentality. Like, I'm not going to continue to allow this to happen every single time, you know? I'm going to stop it at its core. I think that's probably why she was like, I need an apology, I need it now, etc., etc. I think the people of colour who were understanding of you were probably more understanding of the fact that you aren't a racist person rather than what you said. Because I think from me, from a personal disposition, I still believe that the whole poo people joke was a racist joke. Doesn't mean that you're a racist, just means that the joke itself was racist. And the way that I depict what's okay to say when it comes to racist jokes or uncomfortable jokes, if you will, is if I can't say that joke in the workplace, then I can't say that joke. If I'm at work and I said a joke like that, I would most likely be fired. Do you know what I mean?
No, that makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
So if I can't say it in the workplace, I'm not putting it out into the world.
I asked both Joy Sparkles and Sharika Soul whether there was any kind of conflict resolution from what had happened.
Just in general, I'm not going to accept an apology that's so aggressive, and if you thought it was racist, you're dumb as f***. So you're going to call me dumb as f*** while you're hell no, keep that shit. I don't want your apology. And nobody's going to force me to accept that when I've already had a personal experience with her that I felt was very hurtful. And then, so it's just like, and then I'm supposed to be like, okay, thanks for apologizing. No, bitch, you can keep your apology. You can keep your apology and your whole life and all the things you do over there. I'm done, and that's the way I feel. If she wants to apologize to other people, cool, but I feel like, at this point, especially this morning, it's this morning.
Prior to our conversation, Joy Sparkles BS had made a tweet directing at Sharika Soul, stating that Sharika did not want her child hanging out with any white people. I don't know where she got her intel from, or if this is correct, or whatever, but the receipts are here. Take a look at it.
I had gotten on, and it said she had said it 19 minutes ago, and it was this morning. So now you're talking about my child, who you don't even know. You want to keep telling people that I'm involved. How many times does somebody have to tell you I have nothing to do with Black Lives Matter? Do you think Black Lives Matter wants anything to do with me? Like, for real?
And although Sharika Soul made it completely clear that there was no conflict resolution for herself, at least we were able to have a conversation and a discussion about race and race surrounding topics. Something that I think is really prevalent and important for us all to discuss on a public forum such as YouTube. Here me and Joy are talking about militancy within the POC community and why there is a need to be militant, especially with the amount of microaggressions and oppression that POC people face on a day-to-day basis. And it looks as if she might be understanding.
And especially with your influence as well, which I think is another thing that people are picking up on, because you do have a very, very strong fan base. Because of your influence as well, it's also, even if it's the most tiniest grain of sand, putting that tiny grain of sand into somebody's head in a jar filled with oppression. It's like that extra grain of sand, it all adds up, and eventually it's going to overflow, so we don't put the grains in. I'm probably not making any sense whatsoever.
No, girl, no, I'm taking it in. That actually, that makes a lot of sense, because nobody sat down and explained it to me like that. No, that makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. So I just wish people could come at each other and talk to each other,
I think sometimes there needs to be a level of empathy for especially certain minority groups, because of the constant oppression that's faced every single day, that it can sometimes be a little bit demoralizing. And I think also you've got to remember there's going to be people of colour as well who look up to you as well, and then they hear something, even if it's that tiny, tiny grain of sand like I was speaking about before, they'll hear it and they'll be like, oh God, I really liked her. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah,
so I think that sometimes there needs to be a level of compassion for the militancy that has to happen, because when it's constant, you're going to fight everybody.
That would almost put you on extra defense all the time, and that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. No, I can see it from that perspective. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
And I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all. I'm blickety black, blacker than black, I'm blacker than black, yo, because I'm black and I'm back.
In my opinion, throughout this entire debacle, I kind of feel as if Joy Sparkles isn't a racist. And I know that's going to come to a lot of controversy, and I completely understand, but I stand by my word. I don't believe that she's a racist. I just believe she said a racist joke. The issue being is that Joy Sparkles continued to stand by the racist joke. Upon talking to Joy Sparkles, we spoke about microaggressions, and I explained how it was like a big jug of sand, and even though each grain of sand is only minuscule, if people keep throwing pieces of sand into this jug, the jug will eventually overflow. This was my way of explaining to Joy Sparkles that although what she said may have seemed innocent enough, essentially she's adding yet another grain into one very big racist bowl. This in turn kind of makes it very easy to understand why one person, such as Sharika Soul, will take a militant stance when it comes to microaggressions. That kind of low tolerance comes from years and years and years of oppression. I also explained to Joy Sparkles that people of colour is just a reference as a blanket statement for all people of all ethnic origin. And that the reason that we say this is because we are also talking about identity and white passing people of colour. The people of colour could be in reference to somebody who is albino and maybe white passing, however their ethnicity may be black. This is also about ethnic identity. People who are ethnic that you may not pick up on just by looking at them and their colour in a linear sense, who may identify with a certain race. So people of colour to me encompasses all races, all genres, all different kinds, types, flavours of exactly the same thing. An ethnic origin of some kind. I think through that she was able to understand why we say POC and people of colour, and hopefully if anything has been changed throughout this, I hope that she stops using the words brown people. I personally believe that we need to allow people the chance to change, and change doesn't necessarily happen overnight. Yes, some of the things that Joy Sparkles may have said may have been bigoted. However, I feel that this was purely due to ignorance rather than her being an actual racist person out here to incite hate. So in conclusion, the joke was racist, but I don't believe that Joy is. And although I'm aware that I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for going easy on her, but I honestly do believe that people should have the opportunity to change. And I don't know, maybe she rubbed off on me. Maybe I was able to see a little bit of joy and sparkle in a whole lot of poo people. Or bullshit. Or something. I hope that you guys can see that I've taken the time to listen to both sides, to listen to equal sides of the coin, and also keep myself as impartial as possible to be able to come to the best resolution in my head. But tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you think that Joy Sparkles is a racist, forever a racist, and that is never going to change? Or do you think she may have said something very silly, however, people should be allowed the opportunity to grow, learn, and change? Tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe and like this video, hit this notification bell so that you guys get a notification that every time the Petty Paige posts new content. I personally think that Joy Sparkles BS said a whole bunch of BS. However, I do believe that she should have the opportunity to change. So let's give it a floor. Let's see what happens and see if she really makes any positive changes for the future. But that's just my opinion. I don't take my opinion for it because I'm just petty. Oh!
Too much money in the bank. I ain't trying to play no games. Fuck, I hate it gon' sack. I be on my hustle all day, little bitch. Stay in your place, motherfucker, I'm paid. Too much money in the bank. I ain't trying to play no games. Fuck, I hate it gon' sack. I be on my hustle all day, little bitch. Stay in your place, motherfucker, I'm paid.
Excuse